Hey there, movie nerds. Abby here.
Elliot here.
And we just got through seeing
What a great
Inkheart.
way to put it. We just got through.
Well, you had to
seeing
suffer through it a
Inkheart.
lot more than I did, I think.
You're absolutely right, I did.
Okay, short disclaimer here. I am a total sucker for fantasy movies. I'm the kid that grew up watching Jim Henson movies, Labyrinth and all that stuff, and just, like, spent the rest of my life kind of semi-obsessing over it. So anytime that I see a movie that deals with these themes and this background, I get a little bit giddy, and I tend to kind of turn a blind eye to a lot of things, so this may not be the fairest review.
Okay, shorter disclaimer. I really enjoy fantasy movies too. Good fantasy movies. That's where I draw the line.
It wasn't terrible.
It wasn't good, though. I mean, okay, so here's the thing. But walking into this movie, I turned to Abby and I go, this is going to be the ultimate fan fiction piece. Because basically what this author has done and said, you know what books I really like, and what elements of those books I really like, I'm just going to take all of those, and I'm going to put it into this one new book, and it's going to be fabulous.
Because it's fun, and it introduces you to all of the power of books and reading, and it's lovely.
You're absolutely right, because Harry Potter didn't do that, Twilight didn't do that, Dr. Seuss didn't do that. Kids don't read enough books.
They don't! They don't! I'm sorry, they don't!
Okay, so to bring it in, I'm sorry, I'm going to rein in my anger. Inkheart stars Brendan Fraser as a father in an action movie. I know, we never saw that coming.
Seriously?
And he is basically gifted with this ability to conjure characters, things from books when he reads the books aloud.
Coolest power ever!
Except when it goes awry. But then...
And it always goes awry.
And it always goes awry. But then, he is sort of captured by one of the creatures he accidentally let loose, who is played by Andy Serkis, who I was really underwhelmed by his performance, because I love Andy Serkis. I mean, he wowed me in The Lord of the Rings, he wowed me in King Kong, and everything else that he's done, but... I mean...
He wasn't doing motion capture,
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry, that must have been it.
Andy Serkis in the flesh, not so fun.
But then, the cast is filled out with other people such as Helen Mirren, who's...
I know, that was kind of a weird thing.
Yeah.
I didn't really get
Helen Mirren, Jennifer Connelly for 4, maybe 5 minutes, and Paul Bettany as this, fire-twirling, scarred, angsty fellow from the...
He was my favorite.
I thought he was a really interesting character. He was actually the most intriguing part of the entire film. But, I mean, like I was alluding to before, I just wasn't wowed by this. And where Abby thinks it goes a little bit off the rails in the end, I think it completely derails in the end.
Yeah, I'm willing to be a bit more critical. There are some serious problems with the ending. It gets really sappy. There are a lot of small plot holes that add up, and I mean, movies have plot holes, I'm not gonna lie. Like Princess Bride, completely full of plot holes. That thing is like Swiss cheese.
Yeah, but it was meant to be.
But it was meant to be that way. This really just has problems that kind of add up to one big thing. I think if kids watch this, they're not gonna have a problem with it, but older people, teenagers, adults like us, probably will... Well, kind of.
We're in a gray area.
We're supposed to be, but...
Right.
Yeah. So, it tends to get a little bit more to a critical point with older audiences, so that's an issue there.
Of course. I mean, another issue that I had with this movie is the fact that it drops you in the middle of the action with very little exposition at all. And I understand that, that was probably intentional so that we'll be like, oh man, why did this happen? Where did this happen? Why did that guy's wife disappear? And things like that. But at the same time, there were so many unanswered questions that are just thrown at you from the start that I found it a little bit like, I was just jarred by everything.
Yeah, it takes a bit of getting used to, and I think background would have helped a little bit. I feel like I went into it with some knowledge of what was going on because I sort of read the book and I'd been reading a lot of reviews, but at the same time there were a lot of other things that went on that I wasn't quite in step with, and I think a movie needs to be completely enveloping and inclusive, and this one wasn't really.
Also, with the ending, they're building a franchise, folks. I'm sorry, but they telegraph it, they're building a franchise. So you know what, if you don't see Inkheart 1, you'll probably be able to see 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way to 20. I mean, come on, how many Land Before Times have there been? How many Beethoven movies have there been? How many Air Bud movies? There's a new Air Bud movie, and they go to space.
Buddies in space! Oh, golden retriever puppies in space! Yay.
Yeah.
But we're not talking about golden retriever puppies in space. We're talking about fantasy movies.
I'm sorry, but Golden Retriever Puppies in Space is a fantasy movie by my.
This is true.
This is true.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what, folks? In my opinion, there are many movies that are mainly geared at children that can also be appealing to their parents or guardians or whoever goes to see it with them because they're also funny to adults and have a lot of subtext. I mean, when you look at Shrek, a lot of the humor completely goes over the kids' heads, but the adults find themselves laughing. And same thing can be said with pretty much, I mean, I know I've already pointed out that I'm a Pixar whore, but all the Pixar movies are exactly the same way.
Well, you know, aren't we all kind of Pixar whores?
You know, and if we're not all, we should be. So
True. True that.
That's all I have to say about that. Is that we
Yeah.
should all be Pixar whores. I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm not even going to say anything.
I will say that if you are looking for a good fantasy movie to kind of, for the Labyrinth Princess Bride generation to kind of fulfill your thirst, you should see The Fall. I know I talk about this all the time, but it'll do a lot better job than a movie like this will. It looks really promising, and there are parts of it that I think are genuinely good, and it looks pretty. It's a very pretty movie. But as far as payoff, it kind of wanders into disappointing Brothers Grimm territory, I think. So, you know, it's a movie with a lot of problems, but if you're really willing to, you know, suspend your disbelief that much, you may like it. So, we're the two awesome movie nerds, and go forth and watch, if you want to. If not, yeah, go find something else to watch.